We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Welcome everybody to Sanctuary Boston. It's good to be here, and welcome to everybody who's also online. I can't remember which camera to look at. So for online people, the program and lyrics are going to be pasted in the chat. There's a link in there where you can find it. In person, we have them on the screen. If that's a little hard to see, we also have a QR code at the welcome table that you can scan, and you can look at the lyrics also on your phone. So those are some options. We're going to be singing together. Feel free to sit, to stand, to sing, to make some harmonies. Up here, we'll have our masks off while we're singing, but we ask that everyone else keeps their masks on. Let's do some more music.
Let's do it. And share the silence, share the shade, and share stranger on our journey through the life. Hear the song and hear within you. Heed the song of peace in your heart. Spring's beginning shall lead to the harvest. Love will guide us on our way. Love will guide us. Peace has dried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
For our chalice lighting tonight, we have these words by Amanda Gorman. Perhaps our relationships are the very make of us. For fellowship is both our nature and our necessity. And by Patrice Kahn Coolers, founder of Black Lives Matter. Well, there is so much hell on this earth, so much pain. There is also this, a love we could not have predicted, but always imagined. A love that rocks us, and a love that holds us. A love not ordinary.
That's beautiful that it takes a community to light a chalice. Thank you, Timothy. Timothy, thank you for lighting our chalice this evening. Timothy is headed off far, far away. What town again? Boise, which is in what state? Idaho, for an internship. My bad. After so many years of serving on our sanctuary board, Timothy's headed off to Boise to serve the Unitarian Universalist congregation there as an intern. Timothy has been with us through the thick and the thin, through the highs and the lows, through the sustainable, robust budgets and the not so much budgets of this organization. Timothy, thank you for all your many gifts over the many years, almost since the beginning of when we had a board. So such a joy to have you with us and to send you off. My name is Matt Meyer, and I'm the Director of Community Life here for Sanctuary Boston. So welcome to this community of vibrant worship and real connection, grounded in Unitarian Universalism and open to seekers of all kinds. Particularly welcome to the young kiddos joining us who had a meetup. It takes a community to light a chalice. It takes a community to have a kiddos and caregivers meetup. The pizza didn't arrive. Then the pizza was stolen. Then the remade pizza had one slice eaten out of it. Is this true? It's all true. Oh my goodness. What a journey you families have made to be with us here this evening and to join us in worship. And we're also welcoming, we'll do like a bigger announcement, the official thing, but Jen Shattuck will be our new child care coordinator staff person for Sanctuary Boston. And Jen is here visiting with us, meeting the kids, so thank you, Jen. We're so looking forward to having you building our community together. Not taking the kids off to some other room to do some other programming, but helping them and the parents engage here in worship with us. So I'm so excited to be getting ready for the next year of families here at Sanctuary Boston as well. As Alex said, please participate in worship this evening in whatever way moves you. If that means just sitting in contemplative silence, that's good. If it means moving around the room and walking a bit and moving your body, that's just as good. If it means singing out like you are alone in the car with the radio, that's just as good. Try out those harmonies, do what you need to do to take care of yourself and engage with us. And similarly, for those of you joining us online, we invite you to connect with each other in the chat box. We've got our program and lyrics page is there in the chat so you can follow along, sing along at home. We invite you to do that. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other online as well. With that, let's invite our words of welcome. And we'll invite you to read along with Phoebe, which whatever fonts or phrases resonate most with you.
Thanks, Matt. Alrighty. Whether you go to church on Sunday morning or light candles on Friday nights, whether you've been hurt by religion, saved by it, or some of both, whether you're brand new to spiritual community or a seasoned seeker, whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we welcome you. And in the spirit of welcome, I'd like to invite us all to take a moment to greet our neighbors. If you're in person, turn, say hello, maybe get up and say someone who you're not sitting near. And for those of you online, please join us in the chat. Maybe tell us where you're from. Go ahead and send a message to someone new or old who you're excited to see here for the millionth time or the first time. And we'll have a moment of greeting.
Well, we invite you to stick around after this worship gathering, stick around for a while and continue your conversations and connections. In the meantime, we'll invite your attention back. Sometimes we, early in our worship, will have a sanctuary moment, a chance for a community member to share a little bit about where the values of sanctuary are showing up in their lives, either in this community or somewhere else. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of months. One of our community members, Ed, who's been helping us a whole lot in a lot of different ways, volunteering for just about everything, suggested that we create a spiritual practice testimony series, that we can learn more about the spiritual practices that folks are doing in this community to find grounding and connection in uncertain times in their own lives. And so we're going to be hearing over the next couple months from all kinds of folks. If you would like to share a spiritual practice that's a part of your life in worship, we invite you to connect with Ed to chat more about it. And Ed's going to kick us off with his own sanctuary moment this evening.
Thanks, Matt. So, what I'd like to share with you this evening is a spiritual practice that has become important in my life. I start my day by watching and listening to something called moving art. It's a series of videos on Netflix. Each segment is about 25 minutes in length. The videos show the natural world, the beauty that lies in oceans, forests, deserts, and flowers in places ranging from Africa to Cambodia, Big Sur to Iceland, Machu Picchu to Tahiti. It is purely exceptional imagery and beautiful music, no narration. One segment shows incredible time-lapsed videos of flowers as they grow. Another shows intricate patterns that occur naturally in the environment. I find myself immersed in the scenes I see before me and think at that very moment, this is what is likely to be happening in that part of the world. The sea is pounding Big Sur, seals are sunning on the rocks, whales are swimming in the ocean, the meadows are full of flowers. Sometimes during the day, I will take a break and watch and listen just to center myself and take that deep breath and realize that wonderful feeling and sense of relaxation. It was a fellow member of the UU congregation in Springfield who told me about moving art at the height of the pandemic. She found it brought her comfort as a diversion from the overwhelming and worrying stories in the news. So I'm happy now to be able to pass hers and my experience along to you so that you might be or might find it of value in your life. As Matt said, I also look forward to hearing from those of you who would like to share a spiritual practice at a future service. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Our centering song this evening is straight out of musical theater, which makes me very happy. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime, so let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now, whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a sky bird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you,
because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
and just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blame me for.
But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes a
By
star,
wind off the
like a
sea,
stream that meets
like
a
a seed
boulder
dropped by a
halfway
bird in
through
the
the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? I do believe I have been changed for the better. And because I knew you,
because I knew you,
because I knew you, I have been changed for good.
The words of inspiration this evening are from Reverend Sean Neil Barron, who wrote them as part of the closing worship service at the Unitarian Universalist Association's General Assembly in late June. Reverend Sean serves as the Associate Minister of Foothills Unitarian Church in Fort Collins, Colorado. Like me, some of you might know him from his time here in Boston when he was studying at Harvard Divinity School, where he graduated in 2015. Before moving to Colorado, he also worked at Faithify, the UU crowdfunding site, as a project manager and served as a ministerial intern with the New England region of the UUA. This excerpt that we're going to read tonight is a bit longer than the usual words of inspiration, but we hope you find meaning in it.
And this is a reading about faith community. It's titled Because Church. And church is the word that Reverend Sean uses for faith community. As you listen to this, we invite you to listen for the word that is the reverent language of faith community for you when we say church. My friends used to ask me, "Why do you go to church?" After I became a minister, they stopped asking. But I never did. Why do I go to church? Church, the place that breaks my heart more often than any other, the beauty of its potential obscured by the labor of reality, that churches are human, not utopian endeavors. Every church I have ever been a part of has never been exactly who they proclaim to be, nor exactly who I wanted or needed them to be. Why church?
I have witnessed professionals violating the trust granted to them, cloaking their deceit in the garb of spiritual language. Congregational bullies allowed to rampage in the name of nice or freedom of belief, causing beloved people to step away, the pain too great to continue. I've witnessed trauma like a puppeteer pulling the strings, compelling us to play out the old stories again and again and again. Why church? Why do I keep going? Why do we keep going? The longer you stay in, the more grief you accumulate. The grief of the people who left the faith, left your church to attend another, or simply left life. And even as the joy of new people arriving rises, you look around and realize you don't recognize anyone anymore, and wonder if that must mean it's time for you to leave too. Why church?
For it will be true that the church you join will not be the same church you leave. Changed by your presence, changed by the presence of every other, that's the beauty, that's the magic, and the heartache. There is so much that changes in the life of a church. The musical stylings of generation come and go. The language and words of reverence shift. We decenter what was once assumed to be our essence to reveal the true liberatory power within. We constantly evolve and revolve around our core, that determination of love to break forth. That question, why church? There is no one answer. Not one could endure a lifetime. Not one answer the same for each of us. Our answers, like stars, forming new constellations, guiding us in every season of life, point us toward a simple impulse. Why church?
Well, because church. I call it the Casserole Reflex. That when the church hears the news of the diagnosis of the accident or looming crisis, of death, divorce, or disaster, somehow, even before they realize it, the casserole dish is in the oven, an instinct to care just baked in. The same reflex taught me that when certain events happen, you don't call, you don't text, you go. You show up. Awkwardly, sure. Uncomfortable, of course, but you show up.
Why? Because church. It's that feeling we get gathered for imperfect worship, a collection of friends and strangers united by an almost indescribable promise that answers a question coded deep within us: the need to belong, to be reminded of that belongedness, the full embrace that conveys the truth that all the parts of you, the questioning parts, the doubting parts, the cynical parts, the hurt parts, are not only welcome, but are necessary. That if universal salvation is true for all of us, it is true for all parts of us too.
Why? Because church. It's a temporal embrace, an embrace with one arm ancestral, the other futuristic, converging together. A complex embrace, holding as much pain as potential. A belonging that grounds and orients us to time itself. A belonging that says, you are part of this unfolding story, the end of which has not been written. And here we will face it, not alone or unequipped, unprepared, unprotected. For here we have stories and practices, rituals and music, ancestors, and yes, baggage. You don't need to strike out on your own. You don't need to make it all up by yourself. And look around. You don't have to do it alone either. For you have a people.
Why? Because church. In a society that tells me to be self-made, I need church that tells me I exist because we are. For if the choices were independence or interdependence, there is no question I would choose the gnarly path if we can go together. And it is church more than any other place that never lets me forget this.
Why? Because it's church. It's the beauty of seeing the child dedicated in the arms of their family. It's the 85-year-olds who, when the pandemic hit, became Zoom experts overnight and then taught others, casting off the confines of the physical sanctuary for a digital cathedral, knowing that church was never a place but a people.
Why? Because church. And when my heartbreak becomes too much, caught in the cavernous gap between promise and reality, I testify that every time I mustered the courage to keep showing up, I surprised myself that I could find love over and over again in these broken people and hopeless places.
Where my brokenness doesn't disqualify me when I'm willing to put in the work. And even as certain people grate on me like sandpaper, I feel them wear down my rough places, granting me much needed lessons in patience, compassion, forgiveness, and humility, giving me the chance to practice being human. I'm no stranger to seeking out spiritual community on Wednesday evenings. The first church that I ever attended had a Wednesday night Bible study class for grade school children called Whirlybirds. It was a non-denominational Christian church, and I started attending when I was about 8 years old in El Paso, Texas. My sister found this a few years ago. Whirlybirds was a curriculum where we would do things like memorize the names of the books in the Bible, and when we completed a module, we'd get a little trinket that got sewn onto this beanie. The lessons usually involved a Bible verse and ways to apply it to our 8-year-old third grade lives. It was fun, and something that provided a nice complement to Cub Scouts, which I also joined at about that age. The church pulled from a few grade schools in the area, so I was able to make some new friends who were outside my own school, church friends. I'm gonna pause here for a bit because my husband Rich tells me that whenever I tell stories about El Paso to folks in Boston, that I should provide a little bit of context to help the stories make sense. El Paso is in that little western corner of Texas that is tucked under New Mexico, right on the border with Mexico. The city has a population of 679,000, which is comparable in size to Boston. One big difference is that here in Boston, when you get to the city limits, there's a slew of other towns: Quincy, Dedham, Newton, Cambridge, and so many more. When you get to the edge of El Paso, there's its twin city on the other side of the Rio Grande, Juarez, in Chihuahua, Mexico, a city of 1.5 million people. Other than that, though, you have desert in just about every direction. In that sense, it's not too different than other cities in the desert Southwest, like Albuquerque or Tucson. The point here is that El Paso is not a small town, but it's also fairly isolated. Rich described it as a kind of island with its own unique culture. It's very different than other Texas cities, most of which lie hundreds of miles to the east. Exploring that culture would be an entirely different reflection. But for now, let's go back to Whirlybirds and Bible study on Wednesday evenings. A few years after my family started attending church was the first time that I experienced what Reverend Sean referred to as the Casserole Reflex. It happened in January or February of 1977, when one of my sisters had a skiing accident. And yes, they're skiing near El Paso, in the mountains of southern New Mexico. My sister Sylvia had gone with a group of friends from the YWCA to Sierra Blanca, which is a ski resort owned and operated by the Mescalero Apache in Ruidoso. My sister would be okay, but her injuries were severe enough to require hospitalization. It was a shoulder and collarbone injury. I remember during that week when she was in the hospital, our doorbell rang sometime after school. It was one of my Bible study teachers, and she had a large red Tupperware container wrapped in a towel. She had brought over American chop suey for my younger brother and me to have for supper. That was a dish my mother never really made for us, but the mixture of elbow macaroni, ground beef, onions, and tomato sauce made for a tasty meal. And we had plenty of leftovers for the next night. Later that week, another family brought a Pyrex baking dish with a delicious enchilada casserole. Again, wrapped in a towel to make it easy to carry and to help keep it warm from the winter chill outside. I'm sure those meals delivered to our home made it so much easier for my parents to go visit my sister in the hospital when they were done with their jobs at the end of the workday, without having to worry about making dinner. As a 10-year-old, it was a very early lesson on showing compassion in community. It was the first time I really understood, oh, this is a community that cares about us. This church is more than just Bible study classes and Sunday worship service. We're actually part of a community that can rely on each other. I spoke to my sister recently about her memories of that time, and she shared with me that one of the women who attended church had a son who was a classmate of hers. And his mom visited my sister in the hospital, distracting her with stories about other students. All these years later, she was appreciative of the kindness that motivated those visits to the hospital. It was a simple act, but one that made a big difference to my sister. In the years that followed, there would be opportunities where my family was able to repay the favor to other families in need. And by that time, I understood that this was our community. Like some of the best lessons learned in spiritual community, these were ones that served me throughout my life in many ways, many times. When Reverend Sean named this as the Casserole Reflex, that recognition resonated very deeply with me. And I know myself well enough now to know that when the instinct to care manifests as a casserole dish going into the oven, there's usually something else going on than simply a wish to help. Sometimes it's staving off a sense of helplessness when doing something, anything, feels better than sitting helpless. As someone who enjoys cooking and appreciates its more Zen-like properties, it's sometimes a way to keep from catastrophizing a situation by staying in the here and now and letting things unfold one step at a time. Earlier this summer, Martha Durkee Newman shared a beautiful reflection about asking for help. She observed that I do better when my community does better, and my community does better when I do better. These simple acts of kindness have an impact not only on the person being helped out, but also on the person helping. These are the basic building blocks of connection and community. I wanted to be sure that this community had a chance to hear Reverend Sean's words. I included the excerpt that Reverend Rebecca and I read in the spirit of centering leadership of young adults. And I'm going to keep my reflection relatively short tonight. But there is one other section of his piece which stood out to me and helps me answer the question, why sanctuary? 5 years ago, I received an email letting me know that this community was starting a new season of small group ministry. Like some of you, I attend a brick and mortar UU congregation in addition to participating with Sanctuary Boston. When I received that email 5 years ago, that congregation hadn't had a small group ministry for a while, and I thought it might be nice to try it out here. I'm glad I did. Reverend Sean mentions witnessing trauma, pulling the strings, compelling us to play out old stories again and again. I truly believe that small group ministry is a very important tool for finding ways to heal that trauma. And unlike baking casseroles, it's a form of showing love by doing very little. It's simply holding space for each other, not fixing, not judging, not doing anything but listening, witnessing, and showing up in love. It's something that Sanctuary Boston really does very well, and I'm grateful to everyone who helps that program to thrive. When someone has the courage to share a disappointment, a sadness, or a life struggle, because they trust their small group to listen without judging or rushing to offer advice. Those are the moments that I cherish most in small group ministry. And I have to admit that it's a skill that didn't come easily at first. But the silence that follows after someone shares deeply can be very reassuring and a good reminder that we are indeed not alone. We've been lucky that during the past 2.5 years, the small group ministry program has grown even stronger by going online. Zoom has made participating more convenient, and for those in this community who are far from Boston, it's changed the impossible to possible, maybe even easy. Although I sometimes miss sharing snacks during the break time in each small group session. When it comes to small group ministry and being a part of this spiritual community, like Reverend Sean said, my brokenness doesn't disqualify me when I'm willing to put in the work. And even as some people grade on me like sandpaper, I feel them wearing down my rough places, granting me much needed lessons in patience, compassion, forgiveness, and humility. Give me the chance to practice being human. My spiritual friends, may we continue to help each other out. May we continue to help each other with these lessons on being human. May we learn to tune our hearts to the transformational and liberatory power of love. May we hold space to help others listen for the peace within them. May we do this for ourselves, for each other, and most importantly, for everyone in our lives. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Thank you, Art.
We're going to do some singing now. You can hold my hand when you need to let go. I can be your mountain when you're feeling valley low. I can be your street light, showing you the way home. You can hold my hand when you need to let go. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seed, plant a little happiness, let the roots run deep. If it's love that we give, then it's love that we reap. If we want a garden, we're gonna have to sow the seed. I want a house with a crowded table and a place by the fire for everyone. Let us take on the world while we're young and able, and bring us back together when the day is done. The door is always open.
was growing up, I went to a very gay church. The First Unitarian Universalist Society of Middleborough had so many gay and lesbian adults and my coming of age mentor, Carol, who is also a lesbian, supported me through tough times and also really saw me as a nerdy young person who had a lot of deep ideas. And there was a plaque in the entry hall commemorating when Massachusetts made same-sex marriage legal. And being around so many gay and lesbian adults meant that when I came out, I felt as much excitement as anxiety. And I sometimes wonder about how the LGBTQ adults that I grew up with are doing now. That I know there's a study from the Equal Rights Center that 48% of older LGBTQ couples face discrimination when they tried to find senior housing. And so tonight, we are going to share our offering with the LGBTQ Senior Housing, which is a Boston-based organization, and they are building a 74-unit mixed-income building in Hyde Park. This is a building that will be ADA accessible and built with universal design and have a lot of community center elements to it as well. And it's a place where LGBTQ seniors, older adults, elders can feel safe and have housing that affirms who they are. And they need help. They need funding, and they need funding for this project and to make more projects happen. So I'm excited that tonight, when you give money, we are sharing money both with Sanctuary and with LGBTQ senior housing. And you can support through giving through Venmo or through PayPal. If you are in person, the links are on the screen. So at sanctuaryboston.org/donate. And if you're going through Venmo, it's at Sanctuary Boston. We will also be collecting the Joys and Sorrow cards at this time.
Peter Mayer wrote this song, Holy Now, that in some ways is an autobiography. Now he's a singer-songwriter who travels and in some ways is a Unitarian Universalist theologian. But there was a time when he was in Catholic seminary to become a priest, and this story kind of shares his own journey of becoming Unitarian Universalist and recognizing sacred in more places with more people, and moving from what, at least for him in his story, had been a spirituality of scarcity to one of abundance, to one of universalism.
Thanks, Matt. Is this mic on now? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad that miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. everything, everything, everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush, singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church went out, how things have changed since then, 'cause everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
We arrive together, bringing all the joys and sorrows of our complex lives with us this evening. Some of us arrive here wrestling difficult things, feeling the pain of a broken world around us and within us. Some of us arrive full of blessings, brimming with gratitude. From those here in person, I'd like to share our joys and sorrows. From Mel. My dear friend finally got to visit her family in India, but is now stuck there due to visa delays that are threatening her starting her dream job back in the US this fall. It's a mixture. From Jen Shattuck, I'd like to share the joy. I'm so glad to be joining you as your new child care coordinator. We have an anonymous sharing the mixture that is for finding a place to start. Shaya also shares a mixture, leaving Boston to go with my partner Timothy to Boise. Feeling sad to leave so many people here in Boston, hoping for some good adventure and wide open skies. Feeling so grateful to this community for the care, spiritual nourishment, and friendship I've received. And from Timothy, another mixture. I feel such deep love and gratitude to this community. Sanctuary has been my community and spiritual home for the past 8 years, and I love it and you all dearly. I have a joy from Ria. My partner came to Sanctuary with me. And a joy from Miriam. I am happy because I recently got a nanny. Yay! Pardon my reading abilities here. Pass it back to Mel to move us along.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
We'd now like to invite those of you joining us online to share any joys or sorrows you're carrying with you in the chat box. I'll share them out loud from here on the mic, reading on my Zoom phone. If you'd like me to keep your joy or sorrow anonymous, please message me directly. My name is Phoebe Eckhart. Joys from Kit. First, after sharing about some hard stuff here a few weeks ago, I got an unexpected note of support in the mail from the Sanctuary Outreach team. Being held in community care in that way was so meaningful. Thank you. Also, we adopted a rescue dog this weekend. Zeppelin is here with us tonight, being chaotic and delightful. Lurleen shares a candle of concern for my friend Mary, who will be having a mastectomy after receiving results of genetic testing. From Sandra, joy in testing for 2 days negative after a battle with COVID. Elizabeth has a joy, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. Karen shares a joy to be here, feeling such a sense of peace. Susie shares, Friday was the 1-year anniversary of my jaw surgery. I've been reflecting on all the ways I've grown, bones and otherwise, and feeling so grateful for all those who held me during my recovery. Jennifer shares sorrow for the death of my cousin last week and sadness that I could not attend services due to being COVID positive. I have a joy that is hearing from wonderful friends for my birthday. Another one from Lurleen shares a candle of gratitude that my friend Pam, who had a heart attack during our UU the Vote meeting, is recovering at home. Fidelity shares a sorrow. My roommate threatened my safety and I had to run away from my housing, and then my landlord deducted most of my deposit. Now I'm back home with my parents, feeling like all I do is move backwards. another, anonymous sorrow, trying to determine how to negotiate a difficult situation with a friend. And thank you for all these and for all the joys and sorrows that are too tender to put out into the world, those that live in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. We hold those as well.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
I'd like you to invite you to join me in a moment of prayer. Or for those of whom that prayer might be a difficult word to hear, in the words of my wonderful friend Cassie, let's pray without prayer. Let's pray together in a deep breath, in and out. Take a moment to settle into your body if that feels good where you are. And if your body isn't a settling place, isn't somewhere comfortable, breathe right on out of it. Take a moment to sit in stillness, if that's what you need, and to sit and wiggle and shift if that's how prayer is moving through you today. Spirit of life and of love, gentle one and holy one, hold us in this time of compassion, this time of vulnerability and tenderness. Help us to remember that we are so loved and so loving. Let us breathe into a love that holds us, a love we could not have predicted but always imagined, a love that rocks us and a love that holds us, a love not ordinary, a love for casserole dishes, for showing up, a love for holding and caring and gathering, for birthdays, for new puppies, for recovering from COVID, for anniversaries, happy and sad, for toddler screams and lighting a chalice that takes 5 people. Let us hold a love for the people who soothe us and those who grate on us like sandpaper. Let us each, in our own way, breathe into love and offer thanks to the love that won't let us go. Amen, and blessed be.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living
In a moment, we'll sing together again, and then we'll hum the melody of Sanctuary while we invite you all to light candles at the 3 tables here in the room. As we light the candles, you can remember the divinity, that spark that is within inside you. And as you pass the taper to the next person, take a moment to connect with them and remember the divinity that is between us in our relationships and found in community. When we're done humming, we'll sing together a few more times through. Let's begin by singing once.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
I leave you with these words from Rebecca Parker. The beauty of life is such that it will not let us go until we have offered the blessing we have to give. So let the beauty we have seen become the good that we do. And let us not rest ourselves free from the claim that life places upon us until we, in faith with all those who have gone before us, place ourselves among those who bless the world. Amen.
Our closing song is Where You Go, I Will Go, Beloved, a song of traveling together even when it's difficult, even when the sandpaper wears on you and makes you smooth. It goes like this. One more time. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will. That's not the right key, right? Why do we let the drummer do it? Go, where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Thank you all. You sound beautiful. Let's take a deep breath together. And our last ritual of the evening is a ritual of invitations and announcements, and tonight also some celebrations. I'll move to the talking mic, though. All right, can we just get another shout out for Timothy for all your leadership over so many years? Thank you, Timothy. You're not leaving us, we know. We'll be looking for you on the Zooms. But thank you. And also to Shia, going with Timothy. You'll be far from us, and we'll miss you here in Boston, but we'll stay connected. A shout out for Shia as well. Can we shout out Isaac, who joined us as our special guest musician this evening? Thank you, Isaac. And to Jen, our new child care coordinator, joining us this evening, connecting with the kids and families. Thank you. Oh my gosh, so many cool people all here at once. Amazing. What else do we got? Our next worship service is, anybody know? August 31st. It is the 5th Wednesday. Thank you. We don't only meet on 1st and 3rd Wednesdays, it's also 5th. Here's the plan for the year, starting, I guess, now. Every first Wednesday, starting in September, we will be in First Parish, Cambridge, in Harvard Square. Again, after 2 years away, we're heading back to Cambridge on first Wednesdays. Shout out a little bit. Third Wednesdays, we'll be here, either outside or inside, depending on weather and the such. And fifth Wednesdays are going to stay online, all online, so that we can have some all online services to connect, because that's been a good way to connect too, it turns out, much to our surprise. So August 31st, one of our community members, Maya Wade Harper, is going to be giving the reflection. I'm so looking forward to it. I'll see you there on the Zooms. And mark your calendars for September 7th to kind of kick off the fall, to kick off our 10th anniversary celebrations that will be happening all year, and our first time back at Cambridge in person. What else? For those of you that are or know of college students coming to Boston for the new semester starting soon, check out our campus ministry forum and campus ministry page on our website. We're so excited. We've expanded Karishma's hours from 10 to 15 hours a week this year, so she can reach out to more colleges, connect more students, and build an incredible campus ministry program. And what else? We've got a retreat coming up. Holy crap, it's going to be so good. Can I say that? It's going to be so good. We have upgraded to a really beautiful retreat center that can allow for more people. It's got dorm rooms, but it also has more private rooms if that's what works well for you. A nicer kitchen. The stove heats up. It's like, I mean, I hope we're not getting too fancy for you, but it's pretty fancy. So that's September 23rd to 25th, Friday evening through Sunday afternoon. You can also come for just the day on Saturday or just 24 hours. So check out that and sign it up, and please join us. It's going to be great, including to celebrate our 10th anniversary. If I can just pick one highlight out of many over the retreat, Alex is going to lead a Let's All Write a 10th Anniversary celebration sanctuary song co-composed together in the workshop. Yes. That's the official title, right? No?
Yeah, working title.
Working title. Only 1,000 words long. I think that's it, other than that we invite you to hang out here for a while and chat with each other, introduce yourself to somebody new, say hi to an old friend. Those of you joining us online, we invite you to stick around in the room there, and we'll unmute you, and you can check in with each other and connect with each other. So thank you all. Go and be blessed as you are a blessing.